So I'm positive a lot of you have either seen or heard of Star Wars Visions, that grand celebration of the franchise which combines Star Wars with animation either from around the world or exclusively from Japan, which offers a unique look into the Star Wars universe from different creative ideas, and as such creates a sort of multiverse, in a way, which has many different fresh takes and ideas on the Star Wars franchise as a whole. Putting that into perspective, as well as celebrating National Star Wars Day, which, I apologize that this is so late, we will be talking about the novel, Ronin, by Emma Mieko Candon. Oddly enough, this novel was actually based off of the very first episode ever created for Star Wars Visions, known as The Duel, which features a sort of black and white Japanese samurai look to Star Wars, where the only color is, of course, the lightsabers themselves. Honestly, I did not know what to expect with this novel, but I was very pleasantly surprised. So, let's talk about it. So, to start off with, the first highlight of this book that I want to bring up is that this very novel provides a unique look into a different Star Wars universe, which offers a fresh new perspective and setting to look at. I'm sure a lot of us have grown up with reading the old Legends content, or even the new canon content. And while we can still love the Star Wars universe for what it is as it grows and expands with different ideas, this offers a fresh new look, which in my opinion was a breath of fresh air to, admittedly, a very bloated franchise. It offers a look into a unique universe, combining elements of feudal Japan with Star Wars. That alone has an interesting look and setting to it. Now, in this universe, you have your Jedi Order, you have your Sith, you have the Empire. But the Empire, as it is run by an emperor, is constantly fraught at the edges with many different competing feudal lords and the Jedi who serve them. See, in this context, the Jedi serve the Empire, but more accurately, they serve the lords that they are sworn to, thus winding up being their soldiers or assassins or even butchers and executioners in some cases. The Jedi are simply tools used by the lords in this case, which already paints a very kind of grim picture here of the Jedi Order. How they are peacekeepers in some cases, but they serve lords rather than a grand galaxy-spanning republic, as they do in the main Star Wars universe. But we do not follow the Jedi, or the Empire in this case. We follow our main character here, the Ronin himself. Introduced in The Duel, this one already was a very intriguing character, seeing as he was a wandering, battle-scarred warrior wielding a crimson blade, which we all know is signifying of a Sith. But learning about his backstory all the way throughout, learning of how he came to be, how he was at one point a Jedi who became rogue and actually founded the Sith Order, looking for a way to end the bloodshed and wars that the Jedi were constantly thrown into, or even just children in some cases, thrown into constant wars between these petty lords. He sought to end it, and he chose to rebel, creating a massive legion of Sith at one point, even taking the capital city, or I should say capital planet, Reizu, which was essentially the founding planet and crown jewel of the Empire, which made the Sith more of a threat rather than a simple nuisance as they had been seen before, which caused the Empire to unite in a way that it hadn't done so for decades. But you might be wondering, why is this man, the founder of the Sith Order, why is he wandering around at this point like a lone warrior, wandering in the outer reaches? Well, that story is explained over the course of the novel, and I don't want to try to spoil too much because then it would probably spoil the experience for all of you. But throughout it all, you have a warrior with a broken crimson blade wandering around, a Sith Elf-style Dark Lord, aka a bandit, who becomes a demon obsessed with one goal for revenge on the person who murdered her. We have a pilot carrying multiple ghosts that she has picked up from other people and seeks to bring them home to rest at long last. We have an old woman who seemingly has a very negative opinion of the Jedi and Sith, and of course a fox-masked traveler, very mysterious, with his own set of skeletons in his own closet. But more than that, the Ronin himself is haunted by a voice in the back of his mind, constantly leading him to danger, and other threats to face, one that he assumes is his long-lost lover, a Sith witch that he had known, who had been essentially his partner during the Sith uprising. But, if anything, these unique characters kept the novel very fresh and engaging all the way throughout. They had their own goals and aspirations. They weren't all just there supporting the one main character, the Ronin. They were there with their own goals in mind. Some of them joining by coincidence, or simply, I want to say, spur of the moment. Some being sought out and found over the course of the novel. More than that, their expedition to find the lost imperial capital world of Fureisu, so that the Ronin can be able to find the witch who still haunts him, that Ekia, the pilot, can put these ghosts to rest, all of which culminates in them finding this planet and discovering a secret there that the Ronin himself didn't even know about. Honestly, I was captivated all throughout, not just with this, but also the unique ideas that were shown, such as a very different empire, Jedi Order, and even lightsabers and Force abilities were very different here. For instance, the Force was projected as this black and white current, or white Force, black current, symbolizing, in some cases, the light side and the dark side. And even then, lightsabers themselves were also unique in some cases, such as some Jedi, and even the Ronin himself, carried what amounted to a bloodline blade, a lightsaber that was passed down from master to student, or in some cases, lord to successor. And honestly, I love this quote here, that the Ronin himself says, to quote, "I am my own blood, and these are my own people. Never again do I serve the Jedi. Never again do I yield to their lords." That, in my opinion, was sort of his founding creed when he created the Sith Order, to stop the bloodshed and wars that he and those like him were constantly subjected to. But in the end, he saw that the wars would be endless, and that their crusade that they thought was so righteous would wind up just causing more war, bloodshed, and death than he could handle. This truth utterly broke him, and it caused him to shatter this ancient artifact, a mirror made of kyber crystal, which showed only the truth. And what he saw broke him, to the point that he devastated his own Sith Order, thus ending a civil war before it could even truly begin. And since then he had been on a repentant crusade, hunting down those like him, while still being haunted by that voice. The Ronin himself was a fascinating enigma of a character, a man who sought to change the galaxy, yet after seeing the truth, it breaks him, and thus he goes on a wandering repentance. All of this was a unique look to it. Anyways, I think I've rambled about the book long enough. Let's move on to random thoughts. So first of all, after reading this novel, as well as still being a fan of Visions, though I haven't seen the second season yet, I will say this much. I feel like Visions is a great creative idea. It's a wellspring of ideas that can be explored to create new novels, new stories. Offer it as a sort of answer to Marvel's What If. Ronin itself is a prime example. It is a great look into a different Star Wars universe. And there were even multiple episodes that I saw of the series which I was thinking to myself, these would make fantastic stories to look at, such as Lapan Ocho, the 8th episode of the series, as well as, of course, the ever so popular 9th Jedi, I could see that as a multi-book comic series, or even a multi-book series in itself. There is too much creative and absolutely amazing ideas here to not be explored in Visions. It can refresh the Star Wars universe a little bit, offer a new perspective, it doesn't even have to be canon. It can just be a new idea to look at. And Ronin itself isn't even canon. That's what makes it so refreshing to me. I feel like Star Wars needs some new ideas, some new ways to refresh it in some way. Because this franchise is very, very old. And while they have had new games and new movies and such like that, which still keeps it fresh to some degree, the fact that it is tethered down by the sheer fact that it all has to be one single cohesive story can be frustrating at times. Because then putting all the pieces together makes it a little bit more frustrating at times, that it has to fit in this one perspective. Visions, in my opinion, offers that great new way to have more creative ideas and alternate takes. And, in my opinion, Ronin is the keystone to that. And in my opinion, I cannot recommend this novel enough if you want a unique look. I know I'm probably rambling here, but am I alone in this thought process? Let me know, in all honesty. Okay, rants out of the way, let's move on to the overall score. So, my personal score for Ronin is a solid 10 out of 10. It offers a fresh new idea to the Star Wars universe with a great story, compelling characters, as well as a satisfying conclusion that left me wanting more out of this universe in and of itself. I want to see more of the Vision's ideas brought to life, whether as novels or comics or something, or even TV shows even. More than that, I recommend picking this up if you want a fresh new take on Star Wars. Emma Mieko Candon did a fantastic job with this novel. And if they decide to write more, I will more than happily pick up the next book of this series, if they decide to create another one. Overall, thank you all once again for listening to this crazy man's ramblings. I know this one is super late in the month, considering National Star Wars Day is already over, but I figured I should at least review one Star Wars novel this month, as a sort of celebration of that. Anyways, you guys, if you like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts on the video down below, and if you like what I do here, please feel free to subscribe if you want to stick around for any more future reviews that I do. You might be surprised, and you might find some new books that you might have never thought of picking up, and you might be invested in your new reading habits by me. Either way, I cannot thank you all enough for sticking to this channel. And if you have any more ideas, please shoot them at me. I'm more than willing to take up the challenge. Once again, you guys, this is Rambling Collector signing off. Have a great day, and keep reading, my fellow readers.